Okay, hello again. This is part 3, the last section of the Accuplacer sample questions. This is this last section, and the section is advanced algebra and functions. Advanced algebra and functions. And we are gonna do this in, we'll see if we can do it in less than 30 minutes. Hopefully it is not too fast for you, and hopefully you understand it so that you do good in your TSI test. All right, function g is defined by g of x, 3 times x plus 8. What is the value of g of 12? This is how I write this. G of 12 is taking the place of my x. So instead of writing x, I am going to write 12. So 3, 12 plus 8. 12 plus 8 is 20 times 3 is 60. And your answer for that one is D. Again, every time you have G of 2, G of 3, G of 4, G of 5, that is actually your X value. And all you're really doing is, instead of putting an X, you're putting the number that they are giving you for that value. All right, for the second one, number 2. Which of the following is an equation the line passes through 0, 0, passes through this one. So that means that is your y-intercept, guys. That's your y-intercept. So I'm going to eliminate those two. Out and out. And it's perpendicular. That's our keyword right there. Perpendicular. I remember perpendicular by these two words. Opposite and flipped. And I misspelled flipped. Double P there. Opposite and flipped. What does that mean? Opposite, this one is negative. So my new line is actually, my perpendicular line is positive. So with that being said, we can eliminate 2 answers. Actually, 1 more answer, and that is out. So then your answer is A. Really quick for the flipped, we are going to do rise over run here. And this is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4. Zoom in here. Negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 4, 5. What does that mean? If we flip it, it's 5 over 4. Remember, it is opposite. Opposite. So that means that it's not going to be negative. It is going to be positive. So that's why we flipped it, and it's 5 over 4. Just a little hint here for parallel. It is the same slope. Same slope. So for perpendicular, it's the opposite, and you flip it. For parallel, we keep it the same. So keep that in mind, or just in case they do give you a parallel slope there. All right, number 3. So surface area of a right rectangular prism, the sum of the area of each of the faces. We know that we have one face, and I like to do this so that we know how many faces this thing actually has. So it has 6 different faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the top one. So 6. And this is how I like to remember the surface area. You have 2 of each. Right? So you have front and back, side and side, top and bottom. Front and back is 9 by 3. Side is 3 by 4. This is 3. And the bottom one is 9 by 4. So that's how I do it. Remember, it's 2 of each. So we're going to actually multiply by 2 at the end. This is 27 plus 12 plus 36. 27 plus 12 plus 36 is 6 plus 7 is 13, 14, 15. That's 5. Carry the 1. 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 1, that's 75. But remember, it's 2 of them. So times 2, which is 150 in total. Don't forget that this is area, so centimeters squared. Hopefully you understood that. 2 of each. So really you're just getting all the numbers and multiplying them times themselves. 9 times 3, 9 times 4, and 4 times 3. All right, number 4. This one is you're going to foil, or it's not called foil if it's not, it's just 4. So distribute, I guess, distribute all of them. And I'm going to eliminate out that one automatically. So it'll be x to the power of 3. and let's do this one now. 3x squared. And the last one is 2x. Okay, and then I'm going to do the 7. Let's see if I can zoom in here. 7x squared. And I like to arrange them as I go. So I know that I'm going to combine the like terms. It's negative 21x and 14. And then I just add x cubed. 7 minus 3 is 4. And this is a positive and that's a negative. So remember to actually subtract. 21 minus 2 is 19. And then don't forget that 14 at the end. And then that's your answer. Okay, this is distribute. Distribute all of them together. So this one with this one, first with first, first with first, second with first, third with first. Second with first, second with second, second with third. All right, number 5. I'm gonna zoom out and then I'll zoom back in right now. So it says, let's read a little bit here, and it says, you know, sometimes I go through it without, but let's look at this without actually reading it. This is a table, which is the cost of apples. Oh, sorry, a graph. This is the cost of apples. This is the cost of pears. So this is the equation for the pears. And we don't have the equation for the apples. We know that it's crossing 0, 0. So if you do y equals mx plus b, then this is 0. So we really don't have a b here. So we can do rise run. And it's going by ones, and this one's going by ones. So I'm going to get 2 nice perfect points. So I'm going to do rise 4 over 3. 4 over 3 x. And right here, it seems like they're checking your algebra, but really they're checking your arithmetic. Because let's go ahead and read what they're asking. It says the graph shows the cost of apples, which is what we have here. The equation is the cost for the pears. Which of the following statements accurately compares the cost of the apples and the cost of the pears? So apples, 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 apples. All of them say apples. So when you see 4 over 3 is more or less than 7 over 5, we can do 2 things. And this is how I like to compare. This is 20 and this is 21. We cross multiply. So 4 over 3 is less than 7 over 5. So apples is less than the pears. Apples less than the pears. Apples less than pears. Apples less than pears. And this one is more. So we eliminate that one. At least that, right? All right, 4 over 3. 4 over 3. And I like to do this. I don't know if it makes a difference, but 4 and it's 1 and 1/3, so it's 1.333. Right? And then 7/5, think of $20 bills. 7 $20 bills. So it'll be 1 2/5. 140. 1.40. Okay, so we have 1.333, 1.4, 40 minus 33 is 7 cents. 7 cents less. And that's going to be your answer. Don't get too confused with these. Try to take it slow. Like I said, the first thing I did was cross multiply. The reason that I did this first is because I wanted to know if I could eliminate more answers, but I wasn't able to. So I had to convert the fractions. I had to. It is important for you to kind of go over these fractions. Remember that 1/3, that's 0.333. When it's 5, think of $20 bills because 5 $20 bills is 100. And little things like that that you can refer back to. Okay, number 6 here. It says, which of the following is the graph of a function? Function is x's cannot repeat. So that means we can do the vertical line test. We can do a vertical line test. If our graph touches our vertical line twice, then that means the x's repeat. So therefore, it would not be a function. So I'm going to do a line here. How many times does it touch? Twice. That one's out. That means that the x's are repeating. Do a line, x's repeat. Can only touch one time. This one time. And this one 2 times. So therefore, my answer here is going to be C. The only one that doesn't repeat is C. And that's pretty much it for that one. Don't freak out with what it says. Every time you have this graph of a function where this is this, that means that the x's cannot repeat. You can do the vertical line test. And that's pretty much for that. Number 7. It says, which of the following is equivalent? Which of the following is equivalent? I automatically see something. Do you see 3x squared? You're going to take out 3 from here plus 2x minus 8. So I factored a 3. I divided this one by 3. It's 1. Divide this one by 3. That's 2. Divide this one by 3. That's 8, negative 8. From here, I like to use this method because it is the same thing as, so this is what I like to do here. I like to multiply these two numbers, and that's going to give me negative 8. And then I'm going to get factors of 8 that subtract, because it's negative, to the middle number, which is 2. So we have 1 times 8, that gives you 8. 2 times 4, that gives you 8. I subtract these, then the ones that give me 2 is this one. So therefore, positive 4, negative 2 is going to be my factors. So 3, and then you open 2 sets, x minus 2, x plus 4. Therefore, your answer is actually A. Okay. Actually, no, sorry. It's B. My bad, guys. Don't do that mistake. Go back and check your answers all the time before you move to the next one. Remember, TSI, I don't think you can go back to a question. You cannot go back to the question, so just make sure that you have the right answer before you continue. All right, number 8. Number 8 says, biologist's initial population of 500. And then I remember this function when initial. And how can you remember that? It's because it's A. It's the initial. That's where the ABC starts. Okay. So A is that one. And then we're going to do B is your rate. And then X, that's your time. It says right there. So I'm going to figure this out. It says the population is expected to double every 4 hours. All right, so we can start eliminating here. Double, that's your rate. So that's going to be 2. Initial, that's your 500. Now this is a tricky part. This is your time. Now it says X is days, right? So this is the tricky part. Since it's every 4 hours, so you say 4 hours, and then another 4 hours, and then another 4 hours. We know that there's 24 hours in one day. So how many intervals are you going to have? So that's going to be 6 intervals. So 6x. It's going to double every 6 hours, every 4 hours, which is 6 times a day. Does that make sense? And that's going to be your answer there. Okay. Your B is your rate. That's your double. Number 9. Which of the following values satisfies the equation above? X squared plus 5x minus 9 equals 5. And we can do this plus 9. X squared plus 5x equals 14. That way we don't have to plug in so many numbers. We're going to plug in a 7, and then a 3, and then a 2, and then a 7. Remember, squared is always positive. Squared is a positive. 7 squared is 49. 7 times 5 is 35. This is out. 49 plus 35 does not equal 14. Let's do 3. We're plugging in every single one of them. 9 plus 15 equals 14. And nope, 9 plus 15 is more than 14, so no. And then we do it again. And it has to give you 14. So this is 4 plus 5 times x, 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So nope, that one's out. Because this is negative 6. And then the last one, 49 minus 35. And that is your 14. So that's your answer right there. What else can you do here? You can also do this. Factors of 14. Let me put a line here. You can move the 5 over so that this is 0. And then 9 and 5, that makes 14. And you ask yourself, factors of 14 that give you 5. 7 times 2, right? And then this one's positive and this one's negative. So you have, I'm going to see, because I have very little space. X plus 7 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. This one's out, so it's negative 7. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do this. The easiest way, guys, is to plug them in. Plug in the numbers. If you can simplify your equation so that you don't have to plug in so many numbers, then I would recommend you do that. Okay. Number 10 says, which of the following equations defines f of x? First thing I noticed right off the bat, this is a positive parabola. So that means your A equals positive. Your A is your first number. So let's see if I can. This is your K. Okay. This one's negative. That one's out. This one's negative. That one's out. So, and we have two different functions here, -2 and 4. And the best way to do this, of course, is plugging in 0. 0 is -8. So 0 should give you -8. So 0, 0 gives you -8. This one, 0 minus 2, 0 minus 2 is -2. 0 plus 4. Wow. I wasn't expecting this. And that's also -8. So let's factor it out. Let's see. This is a 1 and a -9, -2 and +4. I'm going to factor this one out. Factors of 8, that give you 2. That's 4 times 2. And this is -4, +2. Okay, let's see what they did. This is very, very nice written test question, by the way. I'm impressed. Okay, so we took out, let me explain this a little bit. So we took out B because it was negative. And remember, A has to be positive. So your first number has to be positive. So this one was negative and this one was negative. So those are out for sure. And then I looked at 0. And as you can see, both of them give me -8. So the last thing I can do is check my factors. When you are looking at your factors, they are the opposite of your zeros. So these are your factors in the bottom, and these are your zeros. The opposite of -2 and the opposite of +4. The opposite of -2 is +2, and the opposite of +4 is -4. So your factors are the opposite of your zeros. So this is going to be x plus 2, and this one's going to be x minus 4. So once you do that, you can eliminate this one, which is going to be A. And you can only do that, guys. You can only do that if you know how to factor. That's why I tell my students every single time, if you don't know how to factor, there's no way that you're going to be able to pass that test. So practice your factoring skills. What I did here is I multiplied these two. That gives me -8. And then I found my factors that give me -2. Remember, this one's negative. My biggest number is negative. So -4 plus 2. So that one's going to be your answer there, which is what we have over here. +2, -4. All right, number 11. I know it's taking a little bit longer than I thought it would, but here we are. Which of the following best describes the range of this? Now, really quickly, guys, when you have this right here, that's going to be your vertex. Now, in this case, the vertex was -9. The number on the outside was -9. Now, this one is not vertex form, but this is already in vertex form. We also know that my parabola is going to go down because it's negative. Whenever it's down, it is less than. So that automatically gives me that, less than. So I'm gonna go and eliminate, start eliminating numbers. This is out, this is out. So we have two options here. Remember what I told you, this is your vertex. So this is your maximum point, 7. Remember for the range, we only look at the y value. So the y value is gonna be less than or equal to 7 because it's touching 7. We can graph this, but you're not supposed to graph in the TSI. So you go with just the numbers that they give you. Number 12. It says, for which of the following equations is x equals 6 the only solution? The only solution. This is automatically out because it has two different factors, meaning it has two different solutions. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Remember what I told you, factors are opposite of your zeros. When they're talking about solutions, it's the same thing as 0. Okay? Which is your x-intercept, which is your roots. They also call it roots. So factors are the opposite of your zeros. So what is the opposite of plus 6? Negative 6. What's the opposite of minus 6? Positive 6. And what's the opposite of this one? To actually get rid of this, and it's 0. Because 0 divided by that is. So then, because this is multiplying, this is not adding, this is not adding nor subtracting. The opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6. The opposite of adding 6 is subtracting 6. The opposite of multiplying by 6 is dividing by 6. But 0 divided by 6 is still 0. So anyways, your answer is going to be letter B. Number 13. It says x plus 2 to the power of 2 plus 3. And remember what I told you, this is a plug-in. You're plugging in. So you're plugging in here and you're plugging in here. And I'm looking at my equations here and they don't want you to actually solve. They just want you to plug it in. So this is plugged in here. 3, and then you have x plus 2, and then you have plus 1. This one is not plugged in. This is multiplying. And this one didn't change anything except the last thing, which doesn't make sense. This one added the last part only. The only one that's actually plugging in is letter B. Number 14. What, if any, is a solution to 5x plus 1, square root of that, plus 9 equals 3? Little thing that you have to remember is the square root cancels with the squared. So the square root cancels with the squared. The positives cancel with the negative, and the multiply cancels with the division, right? So we know that. Once you know that, you can solve this. So we have plus 9, we're going to do minus 9. So we have square root of 5x plus 1 all the way equals 3 minus 9, which is negative 6. And then again, what cancels your square root? The squared. They cancel each other, by the way. Anything squared is positive. So 36 equals 5x plus 1. Cancel this. Subtract 1. That's 35. And then divide it by 5. So x is equals to 7. And that is your answer right there. All right, number 15. If x is not 2 and x is not 3 over 2, what is the solution to this? What is the solution to this? So we are going to cross multiply. So we have 2x minus 3 times 5 equals x times x plus 2. I'm going to multiply this. 10x minus 15 equals x squared plus 2x. And then keep going. Plus 15 plus 15 negative 10x. So we have 0 on this side. X squared plus 2 negative 8x plus 15. And now this is just a factoring from here. This is factoring. Factors of 15 that give you 8 when you subtract them, which are 5 times 3. Sorry, I said subtract. Factors of 15 that give you 8 when you add them. So negative 5, negative 3. These are your factors, guys. These are your factors. These are not your solutions. Don't forget that you have to still do this. So the solution is the opposite, which is 5 and 3. Don't get confused with that negative there, because I don't want you making those mistakes. All right. Number 16. Number 16, it says triangle JKL and triangle PQR are congruent. J is congruent to P, which of the following must be true. So this is what I like to do for these. I align my numbers. J is congruent to P, K is congruent to Q, and L is congruent to R. In the same manner, JK is congruent to PQ. KL is congruent to QR. And JL is congruent to PR. So keep that in mind. So which of the following must be true in order to prove that triangles JQ, K, and L and PQ and R are congruent? Angle L is congruent to angle R, and JL is equal to PR. This is the next one. KL equals QR, and and PR equals JL. Let's read that again. KL is congruent to QR, and PR is equals to JL. Okay, this is the next one. JK and PQ and KL and QR. Angle K, angle Q, angle L, angle R. Now for these, you need to have a side and you need to have an angle. Okay, a side and an angle. So which ones are the side and angle? The only one that gives you side and angle are A. We did check that they were the same. These are congruent. And JL and PR are also equal. So remember that. In order to prove that these are congruent, we need to say that the angles, we need to have a side and we need to have an angle as well. Just keep that in mind. Future references. All right, next one, number 17. says in the function f of x equals a parentheses x plus 2 and parentheses x minus 3b. A and b are both integer constants and b is positive. Okay. In the end behavior of the graph is positive for both very large negative values and very large positive values. What is true about A and B? Now, remember what I told you. This is negative, then it's going to be odd. Okay? And the only thing you can actually do here, guys, because it's hard to remember these rules, and it's even hard for me to remember these rules. The only thing you can do here is plug them in. Negative. And this is negative. And this is even. That means that the whole thing is going to be odd, really. So, and this is how I like to remember. This is trouble these. It's the same thing. I have trouble drawing these because the curve is different. This one's positive and this one's negative. So then this one is maybe right. If A is positive and this is even, then it's going to be this one. If A is negative and B is odd, and then it's going to be, the whole thing is going to be even either like this, and this will be like this. That's how I like to do my pictures because then I forget. Okay, so then for these, it says, if the end behavior of the graph is positive for both very large negative values of x and very large positive values of x. So the end behavior is positive on both sides. So then the answer for that one has to be D. Has to be D because your picture for that one is like this. And the best way to remember those is by the picture. These are odds and these are evens. If this one is even, then the whole thing is odd. So it's going to look something like this. If this one is odd, then the whole thing is even. So it's going to be like this, up and up or down and down. If it's negative, it's down and down. If it's positive, it's up and up. And it says it's positive for both the negative and the positive. So therefore, your answer is D. All right, number 18 said, which of the following is equivalent to 2 to the power of 5x equals 7? 2 to the power of 5x equals 7. So I like to do this. 2 to the 7 equals 5x. We can rewrite this as log of, this is the same base, by the way, equals 5x, and then we have to divide by 5. Cancel. So then x equals to log base of 2 and that's your answer right there. Sorry. So again, what did I do? I did the from here to here, we start with a base, 2, 7 equals 5x. And then you're going to change this to a log. This is your base, and this is your expression or the inside of it. I don't remember what it's called. So then you divide by 5, and then you get that. Number 19, it says x is bigger than 0 and y is bigger than 0. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to this thing? The main thing here, guys, is you can't have radicals in the bottom. So to cancel them, we do the opposite. Radical x plus radical y. We do the conjugate. Conjugate is essentially this same thing with a plus in the middle. All right, it's gonna be longer than I thought. And after this, you're gonna do this. X minus y times radical x plus radical y. And then we're gonna do the bottom part. It's going to do the FOIL part of the bottom. This times this is x. This times this is negative radical x y. This times this is positive radical x y. So they're going to cancel. Just showing you so that you can see it here. And the last one is radical y times radical y is y, but it's negative. Okay, once you do that, cancel these two, and you have square root of x plus square root of y, which is letter C. So keep that in mind. This is a little bit more difficult than I thought it was, but if you remember the conjugate, and just remember that whenever you have a conjugate, the inner and the outer are going to cancel. So that's why I put them over here so you can see them separately. This is a negative xy, square root of xy, and this is a positive square root of xy. So you cancel those, and then you're just left with the cancellation of the square roots here and the cancellation of the square roots here. And then it just happened to be the same thing. I think that was on purpose, by the way. All right, guys, I had to stop for this one because it threw me off. The little picture that I wrote was really bad with pictures, but it is what it is. Anyways, ABC, angle C is the right angle, and cosine of A is 5/8. So you're gonna do SOHCAHTOA here. And this is just an acronym so I can remember what goes with what. We're not using sine, we're not using tiny, we're using cosine. Cosine of A is 5/8, right? So that since this is a right angle, that means that we can use Pythagorean theorem. And that's what we're going to use to find the other side. So remember that this is your side and this is your hypotenuse. So a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared, where c is a hypotenuse. And this one, it doesn't really matter what it is. So then I'm going to do hypotenuse is, the side is 5 squared, 8 squared plus a squared. Sorry, I am in campus, so a lot of commotion going on. It's actually raining outside. 8 squared minus 25, this is 64 minus 25. And 14 minus 5, that's 9. 5 minus 2, that's 3. So a squared is 39. To get rid of the squared, remember the opposite of squared is square root. Cancel that. So now you have A equals square root of radical 39 over your hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse is going to be 8. The cosine of the other angle is going to be square root of 39 over 8, which is your letter C of B. The thing is with the cosines, we're always using the hypotenuse, which is this one. And this is the one that changed, the 5. And we looked for it with the Pythagorean theorem. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and post this and upload, and hopefully you get it, guys. And study, and that's all I can say.